my name is Claire, and I've been dating Luke for 2 years. He's a high-end watchmaker, patient, meticulous, and quiet. But 3 days ago, while he was in the shower, I found a leather-bound journal hidden inside his velvet watch display box. I thought it was his sketches. I was wrong. It's a diary of our life together, but written in the future tense. Every single thing that happened to me yesterday was written in that book a month ago. And the entry for tonight, it says, I don't leave the house. I have 4 hours left, and Luke just got home. Luke was the kind of man who never missed a detail. He could spend 14 hours straight working on a single clock gear. His hands steady, his focus unbreakable. That's what I loved about him. In a world of chaos, Luke was my anchor. We lived in a secluded cabin in upstate New York, his dream home. It was peaceful, or so I thought. But looking back, Luke's perfection started to feel like a cage. He always knew exactly what I wanted to eat before I asked. He'd buy me flowers on the very day I was feeling down, without me saying a word. I called it soulmate intuition. Now I call it calculated planning. Last Tuesday, Luke went for his usual morning run. I was dusting his study, a place I usually stay out of, when I accidentally knocked over his favorite watch box. As I scrambled to pick up the pieces, I noticed a false bottom. Underneath was a small black journal. I opened it, expecting to see clock schematics. Instead, I saw my own name. The handwriting was Luke's, elegant and precise. The entry was dated December 14th, which was yesterday. It read, Claire will burn the toast this morning. She will wear the blue sweater I bought her. At 2:15 p.m., she will receive a call from her sister about the inheritance. She will cry for 20 minutes. I will comfort her with Earl Grey tea. My blood turned to ice. Every single thing. It all happened exactly like that. I didn't burn the toast on purpose. I didn't plan to wear the blue sweater. And my sister's call? That was a surprise. How could he know? I started flipping through the pages, my heart hammering against my ribs. The book was 2 years old. It chronicled our entire relationship, our first date, our first fight, the day he proposed, all written months before they actually happened. It wasn't a diary, it was a script. Then I turned to the page for today, January 4th. The entry was short. Claire finds the book. The illusion breaks. At 10 p.m., she tries to leave. I cannot let the cycle break. The basement is ready. 10:05 p.m., silence. I looked at the clock. It was 6 p.m. Just then, I heard the front door creak open. Claire, I'm home early, honey. Luke's voice echoed through the hallway. It was the same calm, soothing voice I used to love. Now it sounded like a death knell. I shoved the book back, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped it again. I'm currently locked in the bathroom, recording this on my phone. I can hear him humming in the kitchen. He knows I know. He's just waiting for the clock to hit 10. Before I tell you what happened when Luke knocked on that bathroom door, if you're enjoying this psychological thriller, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Honestly, your support is the only thing keeping me going right now. Trust me, the next 5 minutes are going to change everything you thought you knew about this story. The suspense is just getting started. I sat on the edge of the bathtub, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Every time I heard the clink of a spoon against a porcelain cup in the kitchen, a shiver ran down my spine. Luke was humming, a low, melodic tune that used to be comforting, but now sounded like a predator's growl. Claire, dinner's ready, sweetheart, he called out. His voice was perfectly steady, too perfect. I looked at my phone, 6:45 p.m. According to that black journal, I had precisely 3 hours and 15 minutes before the cycle was supposed to end. I wiped my tears, practiced a fake smile in the mirror, and opened the door. Luke was standing in the hallway. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like the man I'd loved for 2 years. He was wearing his favorite gray apron, holding 2 steaming mugs of Earl Grey tea. "You were in there a long time," he said, his eyes scanning my face. "Everything okay?" "Just a headache," I lied, my voice trembling slightly. I walked past him into the dining room. He had set the table exactly the way he always did, candles lit, jazz music playing softly in the background. But as I sat down, I noticed something. On the table, right next to my plate, was a small antique pocket watch. The hands weren't moving. "What's this?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Luke sat down opposite me and took a slow sip of his tea. "It's a gift, Claire, a reminder that time is precious, don't you think?" I looked at the watch. The face of it was engraved with the date, January 4th, today's date. Underneath the date in tiny letters were the words, "The end of the act." I felt the air leave my lungs. "Luke, what is this journal in your study?" I finally blurted out. I couldn't pretend anymore. The fear was too much. Luke didn't flinch. He didn't even look surprised. He just set his mug down and leaned forward, the candlelight reflecting in his cold, dark eyes. "I wondered how long it would take you to find it. I've written 3 different versions of this conversation, Claire. In the first one, you cried. In the second, you tried to run. But I'm glad you chose to ask. It shows growth." "How do you know what's going to happen?" I whispered, my voice breaking. Are you some kind of psychic?" "Psychic? No, Claire. I'm a watchmaker. I understand mechanics. I understand that if you set the right gears in motion, the outcome is inevitable. I didn't predict your life. I engineered it. Every coincidence, every chance meeting, even your sister's phone call. I orchestrated all of it to see if a human life could be timed as perfectly as a Swiss watch." My hand went to the steak knife on the table, but Luke's hand was faster. He reached across and gently covered my fingers with his. His skin was ice cold. "Don't," he said softly. "The script says you don't use the knife until 9:45. Let's not be premature." He stood up and walked toward the basement door, pulling a heavy brass key from his pocket. "I've spent 2 years perfecting you, Claire. I'm a masterpiece, and every masterpiece needs a final resting place." I looked at the clock on the wall. 8 p.m. The ticking sound felt like it was inside my head now. I had 2 hours left. Before we get into the terrifying conclusion of Claire's story, if you're on the edge of your seat, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Your support helps me bring these dark stories to life. Now, let's see if Claire can actually break the cycle, or if the clock finally runs out. The twist coming up is something you will never see coming. Luke turned the heavy brass key and the basement door creaked open. A rush of cold, metallic-smelling air hit my face. It smelled like old clock oil and rusted iron. "Go on, Claire," Luke said softly. His voice was calm, but the way he gripped that key made it look more like a weapon than a tool. I descended the stairs, my legs shaking so violently I had to grip the railing. When we reached the bottom, the lights flickered on and I nearly screamed. The basement wasn't a dungeon, it was a museum. Standing against the far wall were 4 mannequins, but they weren't plastic. They were hyper-realistic figures, dressed in my clothes, with hair exactly like mine. Each one represented a different version of me. "These are your predecessors, Claire," Luke whispered, walking toward them. "Sophie, Emma, Sarah. They were all perfect until their gears stopped journeying. They tried to break the script, and when a watch stops telling the right time, it has to be replaced." He forced me into a chair in the center of the room, facing a massive wall-sized clockwork mechanism. Look, Claire, 9:55 p.m. Only 5 minutes left. According to the script, this is where you pull the knife I tucked into your pocket while you were distracted at dinner. I reached into my pocket and my heart stopped. He was right. There was a small, sharp blade there that I hadn't even noticed. He had planted it on me to ensure I played my part. I won't do it, I screamed. I'm not part of your sick machine. He smiled, a cold, hollow expression. You think you have a choice? I engineered every choice you've ever made. If you don't play your part, the machine plays it for you. The giant clock began to groan. A massive steel pendulum started swinging, getting closer and closer to my head with every tick. I looked at Luke's wrist. He was wearing the antique watch I'd seen earlier. I noticed one specific gear on the side of the watch was loose, shaking with every beat of the giant clock. In a moment of pure desperation, I didn't attack Luke. I threw the knife directly into the gears of the massive wall clock. The sound of shattering metal filled the room. Smoke billowed out of the mechanism. Luke let out a blood-curdling scream and collapsed to the floor, clutching his chest. It was like his own heart was synced to the machine I just broke. I didn't wait. I ran. I sprinted through the woods until I hit the main road. When the police finally raided the house, the basement was empty. No dolls, no machine, no Luke. Just a pile of rusted watch parts on the floor. It's been a year now. I live in a new city with a new name. But yesterday, I received a package. Inside was the same black leather journal. I opened it to today's date, January 4th, and there was only one line written in Luke's elegant handwriting. Did you really think you could stop the clock, Claire? See you at 10 p.m.